All right, we are live. I'm super excited. I want to thank you guys who are joining us live on this first series of She's Unleashing Her Passion. I'm here with my featured special guest, Deni Van, and I'm super excited that she said yes. This is our first kickoff episode. So I'm very excited to have her. But as we get started and jumping on, I want to share this in a couple of places really quick. So I can, okay, cool. I wanted to make sure that I can see us on Facebook. So I do see us. We are there and we are ready to rock and roll. Okay. And I'm all excited and I scrolled right past it. I got more than one computer up and going right now. All right. Okay. So I just want to share. Yes. So, and I have my page up. So as you guys are jumping on and as we're, discussing and, sharing all these spiritual nuggets, I would say spiritual nuggets that Deni usually drops. If you have any questions, you can definitely pop them in the chat and we'll try to answer any questions that may arise before we end our live session tonight. Okay. All right, cool. So first of all, Deni, I want to say thank you. And for those of you who may be new to her, I just want to give you a quick, a little background introduction of who she is. She's a heartfelt, inspirational speaker, teacher, transformational mentor, and the author of The Spiritual Awakening is not religious. Religious is physics, right? So she's directly impacted so many lives, and she fulfills her mission by helping other women and, women, people in general, men, because she does not limit it or anything, to discover their vital inner space to their health and well-being. And she's also a survivor of diagnosis of cancer. So I can't wait to be able to hear her story and just really dive in and, just have this heartfelt, authentic conversation with her and just really just learn from her and learn more about what it is that she does. Okay, so Deni, I was just said I was going to keep this kind of like conversational style. For those of you who may be new, if you can just, I gave a brief intro of, about what it is that what you do and all that different stuff. But what do you do? At the end of the day, for those that may be new and like, okay, what does that mean? Spiritual awakening is not religious. Because that's really deep.
Yes, there's a lot of seekers out there that are looking outside themselves for that one thing that is going to bring them the bliss, the healing, the manifestations, the knowing, the inspirations, whatever it is that one thing is. And many of us are looking outside of ourselves. And so what I do is I work with women mostly. Like you said, I do work with men as well, but I specialize with women and women who are going through some kind of life-changing events, such as divorce or something along those lines. And when you're going through a divorce, there's a lot of processing going on within the body. We could be going through some kind of depression, which, self-care just goes right out the window with that. So we end up in a place where the mind is going nonstop. We're constantly worried. We're making decisions in a space of fear. And so when I say spiritual awakening is not religious, it's physics, many of us are looking for that internal peace. Just bring me some peace. I just want some peace of mind. And so we may go to religions, or we may go and learn the meditation, or we may go and do all of these things. But what I found, especially with women who are going through some kind of transition, and also I found that 80% of them have experienced trauma when they're going through this kind of transition. So most of the time I start working with aligning the body, the breath, and the spirit. And so when we start there, it has to start inside. So I can't tell you, okay, LaKeisha, you have to do A, B, C before you do D.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
I can't tell you what that is and your purpose and your boundaries are. And so I work with people on a spiritual level because it has to come from inspiration, which means the breath, spirit. So it must come from something inside. And so what I do is I work with women who might have experienced trauma or have some kind of label of like PTSD or something along those lines. And we work together to bring in this alignment. And it's a shift within us. I also like to call it a switch. And science is showing us that this switch, they call it coherence. And so when I'm able to guide someone to this state of coherence, this means the mind isn't going 10,000 miles a minute, but you're in your heart center and your frequency is the same as being completely calm, being completely centered. What happens in the body is it begins to release those feel-good hormones, the dopamine and all of the really good, the oxytocin, those really good feel-good hormones. These hormones are what are reducing inflammation and reducing stress in the body. This is why I say it's not religious. It's physics. So physics is showing us that we have an internal switch. Nothing outside, nobody outside of me can turn on that switch. Nobody outside of me is going to complete me. I've got to complete that switch within me first. And so I bring beings to a state of realization that as a human being, we are no different than nature. And just like you plug in your hairdryer into the wall, there's a positive and negative, it has to ground. As a human being, you are a positive and negative, and you have to ground. And recognizing how you are complete circuit. And so in these, I don't mean to go off on anything,
no,
but
you're good. I'm getting a lot of information from this. So no, you are good. You are in your zone. I will not interrupt that.
So when beings discover this space, this it's naturally them. There's nothing outside of the people I work with. They keep looking for these things and not understanding, why am I experiencing anger? Why am I attracting narcissists? Because a lot of the women I work with going through divorce, they might label themselves as being empathic, taking on a lot of energy, and they might label their soon ex as a narcissistic. So we're looking at these kind of patterns that are within us that we can heal from our center point outward.
Wow. I love this because like you said, it's not religious, it's spiritual. So it definitely requires that whole doing that inner work. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking, like sometimes, women are going through different things in their life, like you said, whatever trauma, going through a divorce, that breakup, loss of a job or any of that stuff. But, how do you get to a point when you realize that I need Deni in my life? Like I need a Deni.
Oh, I'm not sure what just happened, but I think LaKeisha got lost. But if you are at a point where you are feeling that you need some kind of guidance and direction, it's very, very important to look for someone who is going to have your best interest and guide you to you. There's nothing outside of you. There's no doctrine. There's nothing outside of you that you need. There's nothing you have to learn different, be different, or anything like that. Welcome back. So I was just going on with your question about, if somebody is in a position where, I need some guidance. I need somebody like a Deni in my life. And so looking for, I am a reverend, Dr. Reverend, so I'm a doctor of your soul. And this is the work that I've done for many, many years, over 30 years. I was pregnant for my first child when I became an ordained minister, and he's 31. So this has been my life. And helping people find this space within them so that healing can happen. So if you're open to doing the work and open to the guidance, I guide you to you. And sometimes we got to get through some stuff, some baggage and some old
Has to come out,
patterns.
up and out.
I'm
Yes.
the queen of this. Okay. I am the queen of this. Oh my gosh. I called my baggage designer baggage because it was only for me. It's like, it's like
Right,
you
right.
have to be in this space of saying, all right, this is what I'm willing to do in order to make this shift. But once you make this shift, it's such a wonderful experience. This is where the magic happens.
Are you still there?
I am. I hope
Okay.
so.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. It started getting blurry for a second. I'm like, no. Okay. Don't lose signal. So yeah. So that is incredible. And then I was checking out your website the other day because I've of course downloaded your meditation and stuff before, but I was also looking and I noticed that you do EFT, and I was like, for someone who may be new, what is EFT, and then how do you use that kind of like in your line of work? Like, what is it used for?
EFT EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is, it's kind of like acupuncture for your emotional meridians. You know how you go to get acupuncture and they put the needles
Yes.
on the meridians to open up the channels?
Right.
EFT is a tapping. So I'm going to demonstrate like on the back of my hand. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm demonstrating tapping just on the back of my hand. Sometimes they tap on they call this the karate chop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Part right here. So you're just tapping in a rhythmic motion. And what you're doing is you're kind of sending out electrical impulses throughout the whole meridian to open up that channel. Have you ever had like your neighborhood hydrants flushed where they have to just flush all the hydrants through with water to clean them out so that all of them are open and, receiving? It's the same idea. We are no different. When our channels become blocked, we can actually flush them with energy to make some shifts. So when I'm tapping and working with someone on EFT, let's say it's someone who keeps getting triggered from a past trauma, has maybe thought they've gotten past this, but the body is still triggered. The body is still reactive, but intellectually, I intellectually know it, but yet my body is becoming triggered. So I might work with somebody and start tapping on the heart center and talk to the trigger, because what I teach is that the trigger's not you. The trigger is energy moving through the emotional channels in the body. So we talk to the trigger and we say, even though this trigger is happening and it's making me feel uncomfortable, we talk to it and we recognize and we validate what we're feeling. Because what we tend to do is, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and we're not dealing with the pissed offness inside of us, I'm happy, and we're not looking at it. So when we begin to look at it, even though this thing is happening, yes, this thing actually happened to me. Yes, my body hurts. Yes, my feelings are hurt. Yes, I'm angry. Acknowledging this energy that is moving through you. Then after you're done talking to it, whatever you want to say to it, whatever you want to acknowledge, then you choose. Here's where the big thing is. So after we're working on this energy, I choose. Now, I work with a lot of women who've done EFT before, and a lot of times EFT, they'll do, even though all of these things are happening, I choose to love and accept myself. So I work with women who say, I really can't say that. So we'll come to a place where we say, I choose to be calm and relaxed in the expansiveness of my being. Isn't that much different? So than saying, I choose to love and accept myself. I work with so many women who just cannot say that yet.
Right.
I mean, I've worked with several who have had breakthroughs. It's like, oh my gosh, this is all that I need to love for love to find me. But when you're in that state, it's the shift. That's all that needs to happen. And once you make that shift, you understand that who you really are is this expansive healing space. And the memory of what's triggering the mind body, because the mind body is just childlike.
Right.
It doesn't know past or future. It only knows right now. You got a trigger. It thinks something's happening right now. It's responding. So what happens is you begin to see these triggers before they even come, allow the energy to flow through you. It's gone
Right.
without being a melting pot on the floor that needs to be, clean up on aisle 11, it's like,
Right.
so you're able to at least come to a place
Mhm.
where you're in control and the trigger's not in control of you.
Awesome. So as you're explaining this, I was thinking of kind of like how the law of attraction is, because I believe in that, but then there's so many people, women, people in general, say, okay, I've tried that and it does not work for me. So I'm thinking of it in the lines of also like, EFT. Is that like something you would need to do like on an ongoing basis? Or is it something that, okay, I can do today, tapping, and then I'm going to get immediate results?
Exactly. And there's a manifestation, you're talking about law of attraction. There's a manifestation formula. And we know that we need matter and energy in order to manifest, right?
Yes.
A lot of people just think, okay, I'm thinking a good thought and I'm happy, happy, happy. Where's my
stuff? 10 times.
Where's my stuff?
Right.
So there is a formula, and the matter is your thoughts. And if your thoughts are, where is it? Why isn't it coming? How come it's not coming? You are actually creating a circuit, a closed circuit, or an energy of lack. So this is where the manifestation formula comes in. We need matter, energy, time, and inspired action. Those are the 4 things we need. So thought is pre-matter. So when we're trying to manifest something and our thoughts are going down a path of lack, guess what? You're going to manifest exactly what you're thinking about. Why isn't it coming? Wow. It's not going to come. So if you're in a space of feeling it's already here and having faith. Now, when I talk to people about faith, sometimes red flags go off and go, oh, no, faith, that's a religious thing, it's not for me. However, I talk to people to think of faith, because I don't really have another word for it. It's an actual state of being. It's a knowing. For example, if I were to ask you, are you male or female?
I'm female. Yes.
Okay, so you just know.
Doubt. Yes.
You don't have to explain to anybody. Right. You don't have to do any of that. You just have this knowing it's here.
Right.
It's here energetically, but it hasn't manifested in the 3D realm. So as you understand how manifestation works, you begin to understand that your inner reality is more real than the external reality, because the external reality is constantly changing, moving, unstable. Jesus talked about the kingdom of the heavens within. It's this internal reality that has no limits, no boundaries, is stable. We can trust it. This is where faith is. And this is where I guide people to sit in this, to stay open, because as circuits, we are either open or closed. And whether we're open or closed, we're manifesting.
Right. Absolutely. I love this. This is good. So I hope you guys, if you're tuning in or even catching the replay, #replay, and let me know what value you're getting from this, because this has definitely helped in so many different ways. And then also, just a whole different perspective of, shifting your perspective of what you believe is faith, and how, you walk into that and it's just really just believing, because you know that it's going to happen. So, and just making sure everything is kind of like in alignment, as you said, like all that stuff has to take place first. So that is awesome. And I'm not for sure if you can see the comments too, or if that just shows on my end.
But I would have to open another device
gotcha.
here, but that might affect my internet.
Well, you're right. We don't want to get kicked off. So
exactly.
Yeah, so absolutely. And then I had the pleasure of actually meeting you in person. Was that last month? I'm like, was it last month? Gosh, I'm like, I feel like it's been a minute, but it actually was just like last month and stuff. So, that was, definitely a transformational event. And there you shared your story of how you beat cancer and stuff. And I just wanted you, to just give us a glimpse of that, not too much, because, they missed out, they missed out, kind of thing. So I know, our time is limited, but I think that it would actually help someone.
Absolutely. And, it was in 2001, so 18 years now. On my birthday, I received a diagnosis that I had stage 4 malignant melanoma. So it's a very deadly, fast spreading form of cancer. And I had to make a choice. And in that moment, there was a tiny little voice inside and everything just got quiet. People talk about those near-death experience where everything just goes in slow motion. You just know everything's going to be okay. Death is right here in my face. It's like, okay, what do I do? I listened to that tiny little voice inside. And what I've learned over the years and guide especially women to do is when you don't deal, you're not going to heal. And you work with women who are entrepreneurs, and I work with women who are also entrepreneurs trying to heal. And what they're finding is if they don't heal what's inside, it's going to show up in their business.
Yes.
And so they realize, oh my gosh, this whole thing is happening in my business. What is going on within me? But most of us don't do this. They think this is happening to me instead of this is happening for me.
Yes.
And most of us don't see this. So if you're a woman and you're dealing with some issues with other people, these other people are our mirrors. So if somebody is showing me something, they're showing me where they are, and they're also showing me how they react to me. Because I could be, in the best mood, and I have, that syndrome called resting bitch face. So I could be in the best mood, but have resting bitch face, and my face affect them in such a way, they're showing me where they are. So when we understand in how we work with one another and issues that come up, and you're in this space, we actually create more space and compassion for each other.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you mentioned that and brought that up, because I definitely agree with you as far as, you have to heal, and if not, how it shows up in different areas in your, your life, your business, your relationships, and all these different things. And, for you women that are entrepreneurs, possibly, listening in tonight, if you're struggling to make consistent income, or, you're finding yourself starting and stopping and getting to a point where you can't reach that breakthrough, it's not necessarily about the strategy. Sometimes there's some inner work and stuff that needs to be done. Like I always say, you got to work more on yourself than you do in your business. And for me, I had some success, and that may be you may be having a little bit of success, and then all of a sudden everything comes to a plateau or a stop, and then you're just like on this hamster wheel throwing, spaghetti up against the wall and stuff. And kind of like how Deni said, for me, personally, I can, I agree with you said 100%. I had to heal what was going on internally first before I could actually have that breakthrough in my business and move forward, because it was stopping me from moving forward. It was having me undervaluing my prices and thinking I wasn't good enough and all these different things. And it all stemmed from my past. It stemmed from my past childhood and things that I thought, like you said, you thought you had healed it, but you hadn't. I thought I was good. I was great with being strong. And I think as women, a lot of times we do that. We put our big girl panties on. We try to be strong and make it, do what we have to do. But like you said, we have to heal. We have to do that work. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up, and you mentioned that and stuff. So now she's getting back on, because it looks like we lost a little bit of a connection. If you ladies have questions, do me a favor, go ahead and pop them in there. And I'm also gonna, share Deni's information as well, because you definitely want to reach out and be able to connect with her. Let me see. So I'm gonna try. So Deni, if you can hear me, pop off and pop back in and stuff. So as she is jumping back on, so she's definitely shared a lot of nuggets on here tonight that you can take and apply to your business, into your life or different aspects. But really the main thing is, doing the inner work and doing what it's going to take so that you can be able to heal and experience that transformation or breakthrough within your business. All right. So you are back. Yeah, sometimes it happens. And so I was just sharing, how incredible the information was that you shared, thus far, and how important it is, to be able to do that inner work and allow someone to guide you and stuff. Because I think a lot of times we try to do it alone.
And I wanted to share, I recently was working with a woman who is starting a business after having several businesses. So she's an older woman, but she realized as going through this work, she gave up a child when she was like 16, 17 years old. And throughout her life, because she couldn't understand why she couldn't scale. So throughout her life, she realized she would get some value and then just give it away. And she realized inside she wasn't worthy of anything of value because she would give value away. And so when we were able to realize this, next thing you know, doors are opening up for values, for real value, and to be able to bring her business to the next level. So a lot of times this inner work, sometimes it might not even make sense. It's like, oh my gosh, that thought, I heard my dad say that when I was like 6 years old. And we don't realize that programming is carried with us for all this time. And we make these choices based on this programming. Love it.
Yes, absolutely. So before I forget too, because I know, you have your book. So does your book go more into detail of this or your programs? If a person wants to get more information, how do they reach out and how do they, connect with you? What's their next step?
They're welcome to download the book for free at heartfeltawakening.com/ebook. And I created a framework because we have this internal switch inside of us where we can switch into coherence. And so this framework helps you understand when you're not in coherence, which means when you're in the mind, when you're in the energetic movement, and then switching into coherence, which is expansive space, bliss, releasing of wonderful hormones, dopamine, all of those wonderful things. It's an actual switch inside. So I've created a framework to help people discover this internal switch, because I can't go inside you and go, all right, there it is. No, I can't do that.
Right.
So I guide you to you. And then once you discover this internal space, when you discover that you are the genie and the bottle, this is where the magic happens. This is where there's just no words. This is where science is putting words to mystic feelings and experiences, calling this coherence. It's just when you're just in complete harmony and complete tune, and it's just wonderful, expansive, open feeling. And so we all have the switch within us.
Yes, absolutely. And then, for my entrepreneurs that are on, because Deni, you've been able to use your gift and, turn this into your business, sort of say, but how did you know that this was it? Like, this is what you were supposed to do? Did you always know, or, how did you get to where you are?
I did a lot of the work that I do, spiritual work, like I've done it for about 30 years. So I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I've also, I like to call myself a visual language communications expert turned Dr. Reverend. So and those paths are kind of crossing right now as well. So over the years, I've been in the business for many, many years. What's new for me, and what probably a lot of your entrepreneurs are trying to do, is bring a business online. And so follow your heart. Probably the best thing I could say is, don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome and stop looking what everybody else is doing. Find out what it is your value is that you give, and don't hold that back.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like, say that again for the people in the back. Make sure you heard what she said. Follow your heart, your passion, and don't get caught up in the whole shiny object syndrome, especially online, because it's so easy to do and stuff. But when you know what it is that you're called to do, and you stay in alignment, like you said, that's why it's so important to be in alignment. So when things come your way, you know when to say no. Like, no, this is not in alignment with who I am and what it is that I'm called to do. So that's why it's so important, like you said, to stay in alignment and know what it is that you're called to do. Really, tap into that, and don't be afraid, especially if you don't see other people doing it and it feels like everybody over here is doing this, or if you feel like, oh, there's too many people doing this, what I want to do. Trust your gut, have that faith and go with it.
Exactly.
There's definitely room for you in the marketplace. I believe we all have a set aside of people that are set aside for us to serve, and be able to share our gifts and our natural talents and all those different things. So yes, that is definitely very, very good advice. And I wanted to, because I won't keep you too long.
Well, I wanted to clarify what alignment is, because
yes.
I've been asked, all right, well, what the heck does that even mean?
Yes, okay.
We intuitively know what alignment is. You listen to music, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what is good to the ear. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, that's in tune. Oh baby, you hit that note. You intuitively know what alignment sounds like. It's beautiful. And then when you hear the or the chord that is and you just like, ooh, nails on a chalkboard.
Yes,
you intuitively know when that's out of alignment or out of tune, out of harmony. So when you're on your path and looking to expand your business, this inner radar, I like to call it my bullshit meter, but this inner radar within, trust it, because it knows when it's like, oh, you know what, something about that just doesn't feel like, I might not know why it doesn't feel right, but something about that just doesn't feel right. That means it's not time to make a decision. It must feel right. So back up, review. I like to put Mercury in retrogrades on my calendar, because those are months that I actually use to go back, review, make better, see if anything fell through the cracks, kind of thing. So these are the kind of things that I do in my business. But what is alignment? It's connecting with your feelings. Now, feelings are different from emotions. Think of feelings like antennas. Like I can send my antennas out to you, and you might be feeling joyful and inquisitive and excited. I can pick up those emotions with my feelers. Right. So trust your feelers. You're picking up other people's emotions. What happens is we get confused with emotions. Other people's emotions will internalize it and think it's my emotion. This is where we get confused. So we can ask ourselves, is what I'm feeling mine? And so then this allows us to naturally fall into a natural alignment.
That is good. Thank you. I love that perspective and that analogy of being able to look at it and stuff. So I think definitely, using that as your meter, that's definitely a tool that you can use to help you operate and navigate through life and stuff. So I thank you for sharing that and stuff. So before we jump off, can you let us know how our audience can find you?
Heartfelt Awakening on all of social media, hashtag @Heartfelt Awakening, and then heartfeltawakening.com. And for your viewers, if you go on heartfeltawakening.com/ebook, you can download the free ebook. Or you can go on digital courses, and there's at least 3 free digital courses that you can take. One is on EFT, like the basics of EFT, and going through and understanding it as a tool to help you shift.
Okay, and I'm writing this down as well too, because I will make sure for my viewers that I put this information in the comments when we finish, so that way you can be able to access that and definitely catch the replay. If you missed it and you're just not jumping on, you definitely want to go back to the beginning and listen, because she definitely shared so many nuggets tonight that I think will definitely help women move in a different area in their life or business. Usually sometimes I listen to some lives and I'm like, oh, there's one thing I took away, but there's so much that a person can take away from tonight. So I thank you for, coming on and, just sharing value and really, coming from a place of serving and, providing, tools and resources. You're such a giver. So that's one of the things I've always admired about you since I've met you online. And you're just always real. So that's one of the things that, I appreciate. So I'm glad that you said yes. And I'm grateful for our connection as well, that, that we connected and stuff. So and definitely.
And it's so wonderful to be able to meet in person an online friend. It's just oh, look, 3D. I can
right.
you.
Right. Absolutely. So that's what I love, like you say, the online, building your business, you can't take away from the whole offline as well. You get to meet people, but I'm loving this, so now I know whenever I come to Chicago, I have someone in Chicago that I can link up with. So that is it. Is there anything else, Deni, that you want to share with us before we end tonight?
I want to thank you and take time out for yourself to let the world outside and be in this space 10 minutes twice a day.
I love that.
Good medicine.
Yes. Thank you so much. And our live viewers and replay viewers, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of She's Unleashing Her Passion. And we were blessed to just be able to spend this evening with Deni Van. So I'm signing off. Post your comments. If there's and then I'll make sure Deni's information is there so you guys can connect with her, because I definitely don't believe in coincidences. So if you're listening to this, I believe that you're listening to it for a reason. All right. So see you you guys have a great night.